Are you there? Hello, hello, hello. We're live. We're big, we're bad, and we're back. 14 minutes late. I apologize. We had some little technical schmechnical. Basically, the technical schmechnical is, quite frankly, is that we're just really busy. And it's a blessed situation to have so much work on. Hello. Hey, Lemmica. Hey, Anon again. Hey, Dave Helms, Brian, Not Hardly, 3 for Parker, Matthew, Thomas. Thank you, everybody else, everybody here. Clay and Jack, and in the mix. I owe you a call. We need to talk. If you haven't already, go and check out In the Mix's page. It's unfreaking believable. As ever, please, selfish. Can you selfishly say, can you hit the like button? And there's IK Multimedia. Oh, wait there. Like I said, we've got holiday deals after 50 months off all software and apps. Go check it out. And today, we're going to... Basically, one of the reasons why we're late here, or I'm late, I can't always blame Eric. We like to blame Eric. Was it your fault, Eric? Whose fault is it? I'm just teasing. He said he'll take it. No, look, the reality is there you go. I'm on the webcam only. Hello, there's so much stuff. And this is a good thing, okay? This is a quality problem. We downloaded the T-Rex 5 Max bundle here. The whole, what is it called? The Total Studio, I believe. And it is so much schnizzle. There is so much stuff to try out. It's overwhelming. And so we were like going through every go on live, because the whole idea, as you know, is I pull up songs and I mix songs, live stream songs, and I try out this stuff just like you would, and we get mixes going and we do great stuff. So I've got to say that what we've decided to do is to break this video up into 2 parts, because it's just too much for one video. Even if all I did was like open every single plugin like this and try everything out and every virtual instrument, there's no way I could do this in one sitting. And I suppose, that's a good thing. That means there's so much stuff in this bundle. How many bundles are we giving away? Is it 3, isn't it? Total Studio 2. I think it's 3 bundles. It's pretty massive. So what we decided to do was just start off with the mix and mastering plugins. And then next Tuesday, we're going to go through as many as we can, virtual instruments. So there is so much stuff to go through here. There's guitar amps, there's effects, there's so much stuff. All I can say is this is really, really good. So stick around. You got a 1 in 3, there's 3 of these to win. And wow. Yeah, here you go. IK Multimedia said Total Studio 2 Max comes with 94 products. 94 products. And there's 3 chances to win this. And of course, as ever on the last one, if you stick around to the end, you also win a year's membership to the Academy. Yeah, it's pretty amazing. I mean, look, this is what I'm looking at the moment. So you can see I'm kind of looking away from the camera. That's because I'm looking at this screen here. And this is all the product stuff. Okay, AGS, the LA2 clone, I'm all about it. So I'm just going to start, there's no just, I'm going to start with these plugins and I've got that screen open. So if you guys want to go to that screen, if you can, put it up on the side, I'll paste it in again. Go here, this is where we're going to start. So if you have ideas and you want to talk about ideas, you want me to try out stuff, let's do it. Let's get stuck in on this mix and let's start going through these here. So I'm on the Mix and Master Effects T-Rex 5 I'm looking at the moment. One more time, I'm going to post it. So just if you guys and girls want to look at it, this is what we're going to go through. Jeff T says you can never have too many plugins. I mean, I'm a sort of double subscriber because there's reality in both. And you know me, we're no BS here. We're not, we're professional, producers, engineers, and mixers, just like 90% of you are. I mean, this is what you do. This is your passion. This is, for us, music is our lives. And so I am definitely a subscriber, is, pick the plugins that you love and use them and utilize them, of course. But the longer I've been doing this, I will tell you, there's a half a dozen things that I always go to. And anybody that follows me will know that the T-Rex stuff is something I have used since its inception. And I believe it's at its, what is it at, IK? Is it 25th anniversary? Have I got that right? Or is it older than that? No, it's older than that. It's the 20th anniversary. Is it 98? I don't remember, I'm sorry. But I've been using it since its inception. And it has always sounded amazing. And it's always been, frankly, as far as master bus, compression, EQ, and limiting is concerned, it has been pretty much a leader for me and so many people I know. I've talked about this a lot, I know a lot of mixers that use it as their secret weapon. It really is. Total schniznilio, says Mark. Going to contact the support team. Okay, so one more time, I'm pasting the link to where I am looking. Hello in Worcester, Philip. All right, so let's go back to the mix screen. Let us go back to this beautiful mix screen. Dum-de-dum-dum-dum. Eric is making me coffee. Oh, he's like, oh. Yeah, we have the headphones on. Are we in stereo?
I took them off.
Yeah, see? Can't get the help. No, I'm just teasing. Okay, so we're going back to the track, Apathy Tastes Like Cigarettes. This is the song. And again, mixed entirely on headphones, tracked using inexpensive mics. The whole thing was tracked with Lewitt microphones and with an Audient I/O. So everything here, and it's being mixed in a box. This is all about affordability. This is all about because 99% of people aren't sitting in front of an SSL like I do every day. Yesterday I was at Sunset Sound sitting in front of a beautiful Neve in Studio 2. This is a blessing. Even for me, this is only a couple of days a month now. A few days a month I go to studios like that and track live bands, and then I come back and do overdubs. And I am increasingly mixing in the box increasingly, and also using inexpensive IOs and inexpensive mics for so much of what I do. And what I'm finding it's becoming a massive benefit to our community because we're able to share all of this stuff between us. Because not all of you are going to own your own Neve or SSL. Simple as that. Okay, here's the drums. There's not a lot going on. And I'm going to take all of the 3 whopping plugins that used to be on there off. Let's have a listen to the drums. Let's go into the chorus. That is, and again, I assure you, that is my 64 Ludwig sitting in there, which we got for $400 from Craigslist. That's a $400 drum kit sitting in there. And it is recorded with inexpensive mics, about $800 worth of mics. I can't remember what the Lewitt drum package is, but that's what's on it. There is a 57 on there as well. Shh, don't tell anybody. But a 57 you can get for like $99 from Guitar Center most days of the week, and used probably about $79. So that is a very inexpensively recorded drum kit. Now, I am using some samples on the kick and the snare. So let's turn those off just so you guys have some perspective of what we've got going on. Definitely on the snare, it's adding a lot of aggression. Now you see that ring and that aggression actually is coming from the live snare, which is nice. It has a ring to it. There's a lot of definition going on in the kick because those of you that follow me will know I don't have a hole in my kick. And everybody always asks me, drummers in particular, always say, why don't you put a hole in your kick? Well, I don't put a hole in your kick because a lot of the time I'm working with artists like, I did Mark Broussard, I did Josh Radin, I've done 2 Trevor Hall albums, I just did Dustin Thomas. I'm working with a lot of very organic acoustic artists as well, as working with Ace Frehley. I've done 3 albums now with him. We tracked 1 song on this last album here, live here, 3 songs off the previous albums, 2 off the one before, and we do the live drums here. So what I need is I need a drum kit that sounds good, that I can manipulate on a daily basis to do different genres. So I have discovered in my experience that it's good to have a good, like, ringing, like a kit that has a lot of openness to it that I can then dampen down. The problem with going the other way is if I cut the hole in the kick drum, stick the mic inside and get myself a nice little tight D112 kick drum sound, God bless it. But how am I going to get that oomph, that Bonham kind of oomph? You know, because I like that pillowiness. There was a point in the 80s people hated it, but I like it. And if I want to do something super organic and I've cut the hole in there, I'm not going to do it. So that's my thinking. I get asked all the time, so I thought I'd sort of clarify that for those of you that are watching now. So let's do some stuff. Now, hopefully you're all on the same page as me. Literally, you're looking at the products here, and we're going to go through it. What I'd like to do, there's so much good stuff here. I mean, there's Precision EQ, the EQ, if that's right how you pronounce it, is really exciting looking. But of course, there's the EQ PA, which I've tried many times and is really, really nice. But probably what I would do, and this is from working and being around guys like Joe Ciccarelli, is use the EQ PG on a kick drum. Those of you that know when I mix hybrid, I can probably see in the background a couple of API graphics over there. So I'm going to think the same way. That's on my kick in normally when I mix. So let's pull up that. Dum 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 dum. So many plugins in this. It's insane. Insane. Okay. The EQ PA. Here it is. Dum 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 dum. Oh, and the PG. Sorry, I went to the PA first. I'm going to keep that available. Actually, my mistake. I wanted the PG. What? He made a mistake. He certainly did. I mean, 94 products in this bundle is absolutely insane, and you can win one of 5 of them. I'm just looking at the British channel here. I'm getting I'm getting deer in the headlights. I'm looking at all my options, which is just absolutely insane. Okay, here's the EQPG. So I didn't get the EQPG. Can you believe I hit the wrong one again? Am I going crazy here? I am. How did I do that? Finally. All right. Now, if you go to Sunset Sound and you see Ciccarelli's setup there, it's insane the EQs he does with it. And anybody that knows Joe Ciccarelli's records know that they are some of the finest recorded, just some of the finest sounding albums ever. Guys like Victor Indrizzo, the drummer, who's a good friend of mine, an amazing drummer, say to me that the best sounding records they make is when Joe Ciccarelli's producing and engineering. So let's do some relatively, I would say, quote unquote, generic things. And when I say that, I just mean commonplace. So we're going to go and we're going to boost 63. Have a listen. Immediately, it sounds like a kick drum. You know, it's beautiful. Now, I'm going to take the 33 down, believe it or not. So it's not high passing, it's just doing a little bit of cut in those lows there. And it's shaping that 63 for me. Now, I'm going to whop out 250 like crazy. Have a listen. Immediately on minus 12, it's almost perfect. Now, for me, in rock kick drums, I could pull out a little bit of 500, and believe it or not, I could pull out a little 125. I know that might sound a little crazy, but I think that will tighten up our 63. So we can boost the 63 a little bit more and cut this 125. The reason why I go to 125, and you'll see it in a minute when we move over to bass guitar and start talking and using, probably using the EQ PG on the bass guitar, you're going to notice that we love 80 hertz, 100, 110 is a great area. Between 80 and about 120 is beautiful on the bass. So I don't mind cutting a little bit in the kick drum because I don't want too much of an overlap there. I mean, immediately you can hear what it's doing. It's giving me all the lows, it's breathing, it's giving me everything that I need from that kick drum. Now, 1K would give us a hardness. So if I boost on 1K, have a listen to this. I like that, and I think I'll keep a little bit of that in. But typically 2.5 is like classic rock for me, so somewhere between the 2K and the 4K, and then 7K and above is a little bit more like metalish. Now we don't want to go for that, so I'll probably split the difference and give it a little 4K boost. Let's have a listen. So this is how I feel about the kick drum. I feel like I could spend a lot of time boosting some of those high mids, and it's not going to do too much for me. That's the great thing about recording the way I do and knowing I can choose other things. So I'm going to just leave it like this. I'm probably going to just like roll off some of this 8K and 16 for some simple bleed we don't need. I want to hear what the preamp functions is going to do. Yeah, I hear a little bit of drive on it. I like it. I like a little bit of that drive. I'm going to maybe tuck it down a little bit more. That's pretty tasty for me. That is definitely doing the job. Let's put a gentle amount of compression. So anybody, any preferences looking at that package, what you want to do? Yep, on Tuesday we're going to talk all about all of the virtual instruments as well. So let's have a look here at some compression options. I think honestly, the Black 76 is going to be fantastic. So again, I'm just going to post that page that I'm looking at so you guys and girls can all check out that. You want to go LA2A? I think the LA2A for this, I'm going to probably try that on overheads. AGS, I think I'd like to hear that on overheads. I love the sound of an LA2A gently on that. So I can move quickly to that after this. So I'm going to go and grab, let's go in here and grab some compression. So there is the 76 here, which is probably what I would go for. There's the classic comp. I'm having a look. I'm just having a little look-see here because we've got so many options. Now, I'm just going to go for the 76 on here. So typically, this is going to sound a little redundant. Typically, the way that this is set up sounds great straight away. You could probably go for a slightly faster release time, but bearing in mind, have a listen to this. There's something about 1176s that, listen to what that does. Listen to how it just adds a little bit of grit. And you saw how I was struggling with this, this kick drum that's just mic'd by, with no head. And you saw that I was struggling getting some bite out of it. Listen to the before and after and hear what the T-Rex Black 76 is doing here. It's pretty remarkable. I like that. I mean, that is inherently what we want from an 1176, isn't it? It's when people reach for 1176 is what you hear. People like it on snare drum. They like it on drums in particular. I personally like it on vocals. I absolutely love it on electric guitars. It's because it does seem to give it just a little bit more grittiness to it as well. Yeah, like Jeff T says, he thinks that will cut through the mix more. I agree. So now, with my carefully selected, frankly, samples, I don't really think I need to do any additional EQ to those. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to bus all of those together now. So let's bust those samples. Now, the samples that I'm using are in stereo. And the reason why they're in stereo, and somebody was asking me this the other day, so I'm bringing it up now. The reason why I do that is because some of these samples have ambience built into them, and it's part of the sound. So I'm going to call this kick sub. You can call it kick sub, kick bus, kick auxiliary, whatever you want to call it. The one of these samples is one I made myself, the Bootstraps one. And if you're an Academy member, you can get it for free, or you can actually just go and download it for free from our site. Okay. Bus 7 and 8. Let's have a listen to all of these together. And Eric has made me coffee. Thank you. Paul's suggesting a Dyna-Mu, which I think we'll get to in a couple of minutes. We're going to use that on the whole drum kit. It's pretty tight. The way that these kicks are working together is pretty tight. Have a listen. Cool. Just reblended that ever so slightly. Now what we're going to do is we're going to do some global stuff with all of these kicks put together. I'm not going to go absolutely crazy, but I'm going to do something similar-ish to what we've just heard. But we're going to reach for something a little bit more gentle. Like, let's go for something like the British EQ. Again, if you're not, I can post in here the page we're looking at for selection. Here's the IK Multimedia page that I'm looking at to select stuff. So go and check that if you want to make suggestions. I'm all ears. You can go to that page and check it out. Okay, so we're going to go... now, obviously, I could go to the EQ 73 or 81. I know the EQ points really, really well. That would be a nice place to go. You know what? I'm going to. Simple as that. Because I like... What I like, people often ask me, and this is a really good talking point, how to get certain drum sounds. Somebody said to me the other day, like, how do you get an AC/DC drum sound? And I was like, you know, obviously certain drums, we talked about snare drums and stuff like that. And then I was like, you have to think about how they were recording it. They weren't recording it with massive parametric EQs. They were boosting and cutting frequencies that were specific to consoles. So if you think about it and you go and say, select, you know, 60 Hertz here and boost that, you are going to get, what you're essentially going to get when you do that is you're going to recreate the EQ point that was available with that. Oh, you love the squeaky kick pedal? Good. I mean, that's gorgeous. Turn it off. And then, as Henning said, of course, use Phil Rudd as well. Yes, we're going to do the instrument one, Jacques, on Tuesday, because there's so many plugins in this bundle. It's insane. There's 94 that we realized there's no way we were going to be able to do all of this. So we're going to mix like this, and then we're going to do virtual instruments. So virtual instruments will be on Tuesday. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to 360 and cut. Now, bear in mind, we're going to listen to this in with the rest of the drum kit. Definitely, yes, this is a kick bus. Now, this is not the way I always work. We're moving really, really fast here, talking a lot, all this kind of stuff. Typically, I'd be moving in and out, but I need to illustrate what the plugin is doing. So now let's go and just do some high boost. Simple as that. I love it already. Let's drop it into the full drum kit. See what we got. I mean, that sounds really natural. I'm absolutely digging that. Now, I'm reading ahead. I think there's things like I might want to shorten the transients a little bit, just like shorten that. That may well happen. At the moment, though, I love the excitement. I love the fact that it sounds like a really good drummer just laying down a groove, you know, on just really laying into it beautifully. Now, when I worked on this song before, the only thing that really kind of got me massively, of course, was the toms. And we did some EQ using stock plugins. But let's have a listen to the tom section here. They've just got that sort of like typical boxy tom sound that you don't want, that kind of bloop bloom. And it's all of those low mids that get really boxy. To be honest, I'd probably do the same thing that we did on the kick. And what I mean by that is not necessarily the same EQ points, but reach for that particular plugin. So if I'm going to go down here, let's have a look. The G here, but I might do it twice. So what I'll probably do, and I'm going to leave this in context of the full drums, is with the floor, maybe I'll boost a little bit of 60, but do some serious, not high passing, but some cut at 30. One there, maybe a little 125, a little bit, but then I'm going to pull out a lot of 250, a lot, and a lot of 500, and probably put some 4K. See if you can hear that attack coming on it. Oh yeah, as soon as I put the 125 up there, you heard that floor tom ring. Listen. The floor tom immediately is coming alive. Now, to be honest, I would just do this. I would grab this plugin, go to Option if you're on a Mac, and just drag it down to the rack and see what that's doing for us. I mean, it immediately turns it into a tom. I mean, that cut at 250, that big cut at 500, little 4K boost for some stick action, little bit of 63, a little bit of 125, but that low mid cut around here. I mean, I'll turn it on and off on the rack and have a listen. Here's off. Now listen to it on. I mean, it's a huge difference. That area, those low mids on toms, when it sounds ugly to you, that's a massive part of it. It's tough, though, because it depends on the genre. You don't always want to make it sound quite so, you know, sometimes I get a little afraid of putting tom samples in when they're too doom, doom, because that might sound really great at this moment, but long term, it can be a little bit of an ear abrasion. Okay, so next thing I might do is, because I got it on a bus, is probably do a gentle amount, just like I did with the kick, do a gentle amount of control of the two of them together. So let's move quickly on to here. I don't see any need for compression on this, quite frankly. They're very well articulated. One of the reasons to compress toms, frankly, is when there's not enough articulation. David played this with great articulation, so I have no issue. At the moment, I'm not hearing any reason why to do it. So why don't we go to an 81? Just because we haven't tried this out yet. You know, and go to, we've got a lot of crossover points, which are quite nice. I think we can, frankly, just go to 330 here and just cut it. Have a listen to this. So I'm going to solo these. Huge difference. Huge difference. But you see how, I know it sounds silly, but do you see how simple that was? It's just knowing, you know, having that experience and sharing this kind of information, that it was really just a low mid area. And the thing about these plugins is they have a characteristic, and this is a big deal. The reason why I was talking about AC/DC, and when people are asking me about that drum sound and stuff, is that when you do reach for a classic sounding plugin like this, what you're doing is you are getting a familiar place. You're hearing something that you grew up listening to. You're listening to Zeppelin and AC/DC and classic rock, and you want those drum sounds, and they weren't playing with the kind of tools that we've got now. So they were boosting and cutting at specific EQ points that existed, and yes, you guessed it, in the 81s, in the 73s. So, and the API emulations, the PG there, if I'm allowed to call them that. Anyway, those kind of points. That's why I think there is still a place for this world, and why I think familiarity is actually a really good thing. Like if I hear a snare, for instance, that I love, 99% of the time I'll walk over to the drummer and he's playing a Ludwig Supraphonic. There's a reason. That's the snare that we grew up listening to on great records. It's the reason why a 57 still wins so often. Okay, cool. My hair's out of order. The sacrifices are made to here. Oh yeah, my hair like this because of the thing. All right, let's do our first giveaway. I don't see the point of miking a drum kit with a mic setup at $20,000 anymore. Well, this isn't $20,000. This was done with $899 drum package, and then yeah. It's a $899 drum package going through an Audient ID14 and an ASP 800. So going through Audient, you know, that's what it is. So thank you ever so much for all the great ones. Yeah, but you see that. Thanks for the tom tone. But you see how, I don't want to minimize the job that mixers do, but you see how simple that was when we're just getting in there and choosing the right frequencies to do it. Okay, let's do our first giveaway. Okay, so this is to win the total package. It's 94 plugins. It's the Total Studio 2, IK Multimedia Studio 2. And we're only scraping the surface. This today, all we've got time for today on our first stream on this is just to talk about the plugins themselves. We're not even going to get to the virtual instruments. There's all of those in there as well. It's insane. Okay, so for 94 plugins, what I want to know is I want to know about you. This is important. There's this amazing collection of guys and girls here all talking to each other and supporting each other. I want to know more about you. So I think because we started off talking about classic EQ points and stuff like that, and classic compression, is there any kind of go-to classic emulation? Doesn't matter what it is. It could be an emulation of a drum kit for all I care, but something that you always go to. Is there a classic thing that you just hear and love? Is it a 76, 1176? Is it a 1073? Is it a 1081? Is there an emulation that is a workhorse for you? It could be a Fairchild emulation. It could be a Manley. It could be an LA2A. It could be anything. Is there something that yes, IK is here. So what is the one thing that you always reach for? And Mixing says an LA2A. And everybody can enter. So SSL, good one. So if there's something that, if you don't have one, you can also say that as well. If there's not a classic vintage piece of equipment you reach for, you can also answer, I don't have one, and you'll be entered in. 2254s, 1176s, wow. A lot of 1176s, a lot of 1073s, a lot of more 76s. 670s, SSLs, E-channels, more 76s, wow. APIs, LA2As, 76s are coming up a lot, which I'm not surprised at. 73s are coming up a lot. LA3, that's a good one. A lot of 76s. IK Multimedia says LA2A. All right, we're going to get onto the LA2A next. I'm going to open up the overheads and try it on that. That's kind of a favorite thing for me. C4s. No, I meant classic equipment. It doesn't matter who. This isn't necessarily about finding out whose person's emulation you like. It's more about what is the emulation you like to go for. You know, if it's a Pultec, it's a Pultec. If it's an LA2A, if it's an SSL, it's an SSL. It's not necessarily the manufacturer. It's more about like the piece of equipment. So 76s, LA2As, more LA2As, LA3s. Anthony says, I don't have one, which is great. It's fine to answer that way. More 1176s. Jacques says he works in Mixbus 32. Clint says he's already a classic vintage, so he doesn't need any plugins. 160s, emulate, Fairchilds, more than Neve, emulations like this 1073s. So a lot of LA2As, a lot of 1073s, a lot of 1176s. Ben says none. A lot of 1176s and a lot of LA2As and a lot of 1073s. Those seem to be the ones that are coming up. And some 670s as well. Mike says he's used an original 670. Tom says he is vintage already. Mixing is LA2A. Cliff is 1176. More LA2As. SSLs. This is interesting. All right, I'm going to open up the LA2A. Missy's just in time. And Sean says, I would love this package. I don't know. Is Matt there? Matt might be on something else for a second. All right, I'm going to go and open up the overheads. And what we're going to do first on those is just listen solo. Pretty darn good overheads for a pair of like $100. I think they're just over $100, the condensers that are on this. Pretty darn good. Let's be honest. Okay, so I'm going to go and grab, I'm not going to grab the LA2A first. I am going to grab it, but I'm not going to grab it first. What we're going to do is we're just going to do a little bit of EQ, and I'm probably, frankly, going to get to the 81 again. I think that that's all I need to do on this. We're going to keep this a pretty classic kind of sound. So back to the 81 again. And so, frankly, I'm going to go to a similar area. I'm going to go to the 330 and cut it. I'm actually going to go, say, 56 here and cut that as well. So I'm going to cut some of the low lows and some of the low mids. I'm not going to do anything to the high end. I don't think I need to at the moment. Let's have a listen. It's a tough one because it's really flattering on, really flattering on the toms, what it's doing. It's adding a lot of body to the toms. So let's have a listen with it. So if I chose to, for instance, then maybe go to the 100 here and boost it, see what it would do. It's a tough one because I think, honestly, it's muddying up that world a little bit, causing a little bit of flamming, some low end to the toms. So I'm actually going to still cut it. So I'm cutting low mids at 330 and I'm cutting low end out of it. And so I don't like to use overheads just for cymbals. I do like to have an overall, kit of it. I like to have an overall stereo imagery. So here we go. Okay, so now let's grab for, you guessed it, the LA2. I'm literally looking at over here. You can't see what I'm looking at, but I'm looking at all of the different plugins here and seeing if that's exactly what I want to use. One of my last mixes, did you notice I put the quad comp, the one that you can download all the multi-tracks for, which I'm sure Matt will give you here if you haven't already downloaded all those multi-tracks for. And that one, I just, at the very end, I didn't use any master bus, anything. And at the very, very end of the mix, after I was really happy with it, I put the quad on it. And it was really good, the quad comp. It didn't have to do too much because we'd balanced the mix. It wasn't like, overcompensating for a lot of crazy frequencies. But just in its default, it worked really, really good. I don't really want to mix into it, but I'm telling you, that's probably what I'm going to end up putting on the end of this. Okay, so let's have a quick look. Be interesting to see it on a drum bus as well, but I don't think I will. So let's go here. Have a quick look. There's also the VC76. It's a tough one. See, if I go for that, see, this is the classic we've been talking about. Let's have a listen. Again, it's adding a little extra spank that wasn't there before, a little extra attack on those transits. Let's see what it feels like all together with the drums. It's pretty tasty. Pretty tasty. I'm very happy with that. Okay, so I've got just one drum bus going at the moment, and I'm happy with that. I'm not looking to do a parallel quite yet. I might come back to that. But at the moment, what we could probably do, what I would probably do, is reach for the 670. And so let's go down and get that 670. Here it is. Pretty tasty. I'm just going to leave it. I'm going to leave it on at the moment. It's just defaulting. It's giving us about 2 dBs worth of gain reduction. It's possible once we get into this track a little bit more that we're going to start adding some, start adding a parallel to this. But at the moment, I'm happy. Let's throw in the bass. Now, the only thing I've got here is I've got some stock EQs, which we can get rid of. The time adjuster here, all that is just moving. Let's just get rid of all this schnizzle here. The time adjuster, what that's doing is that's just moving the DI back ever so slightly. Some people pull it back manually and other people use software to do it. I personally just use the time adjuster. All it is doing is correcting, you know, phase issues that the bass would be having, which are pretty slight in this instance. Very, very slight. All right. One of my EQ tricks. Those of you who follow me, you know my EQ tricks on the bass. So let's go in and have some fun. Okay. We can get probably a little cleverer on this. I think it might be kind of fun to step away. Oh, see, there's the EQ. There's quite a lot of fun things here. I'm looking over to my right-hand side here. Do you guys have the screen up? So this is where I am here. This is where I'm looking at all of the different ones. I'm putting it up again. You see over here? So what compressor I use? Yeah, what compressor I use on the bass? Bass and vocals are like the two kind of things. I'm very tempted to honestly try the white channel on the bus, on the bass bus. That is quite likely I'm going to go to it. I don't know if I want to go to the master EQ. I think that might be a little too much for what I need. Have a look over there. I think it's probably... See, what's interesting is I use the EQ in this instance quite straightforwardly on the DI and the bass amp. So even if I do want to go and get that equal, is that how you pronounce it? The equal? I don't know what I'm talking about, do I? We're going to do another giveaway in a minute, so make sure you're hanging out here. We're going to do another giveaway of the full Total Studio 2 here. We're just scraping the surface on these. Okay, so if I go and grab that, for instance, it's probably a little bit of overkill for what I want to do, but I'm going to do it anyway. So here, I can go here and do this. I can select my frequency here. Wow, this is really smooth and easy to use. So normally I would go about 150 or 200 depending on the aggression of the slope. So here I've made the slope not that aggressive, and you can see I love the fact that you can just pick up points like this. It's so good. I mean, look how easy this is to use. That's just idiot proof. I'm just using a mouse. Look, one hand only. I mean, that's pretty crazy that it will just do that. Unfreaking believable. Unfreaking believable. Such a good little tool. Okay, so as you can see, I'm about 150-ish. And I have, I can just turn that off. That one's the only one that's on. Oh, that one's the only one that's on. And yeah, let's go about here. So it says 195. You see the slope's pretty beautiful there. So I'm just going to copy this down, which is an option on Pro Tools for those that are there. And I'm going to reverse it. Simple as that. See how I just reversed it like this? So now there's a crossover point about here. I'm going to pull this down a little bit more around about there. And now let's hear what it's doing. So the DI now is just my bass sound. So if I go into the second verse, for instance. And the amp gives me all of the charisma. Two together. Get rid of the automation. So it's a trick that you see me do all the time, and I've seen thousands of people do it since. But basically, it's been something I've been doing for years, and it's essentially, here's the DI, it's the low end. Here's the bass amp, it's the articulation, it's the charisma, it's the character. Did you notice when I moved that to the right a little bit, and I made the frequency come up a little bit more, there was less phase cancellation going on in this area here, which is about 100 to about 400. See, around, there's going to be a build up here. Here's the DI. And there's going to be a crossover around about here. And if the two frequencies of the DI and the bass aren't perfectly phase aligned, which to be honest is never going to happen. The characteristic between a speaker moving and a direct DI is never going to be exactly the same. You can sit there and move these around and use every plugin you like, but there is no way you can manipulate them to be exactly the same. So the reason why this trick works is because you're using the DI, which has significantly less distortion on it and a cleaner signal for a clean low end, and then you're using the mid-range and above for the articulation, for the character, for the charisma, if you like, of the bass. So those two together. So to prove my point, if I move this, have a listen, if I move this like this to the left more, where it starts to overlap. So what's going to happen now is the low end on the bass amp is going to overlap more with the DI. You're actually going to hear less low end. This is a thing where people don't understand about high passing. The reason why high passing works is it lets other low end things breathe. There's so much confusion and myths and disinformation about this, but listen to what it does. Here it's going to be pretty fat. Listen to there. Listen to that 120 pass point. Now there's a lot of like clutter in this area. And then I'll move back to the 197. Now I'll play the same part again, but with the EQ cool point moved back. I mean, it's massive in my Lolas. My blue Lolas. You see what the high passing, it created more low end. It didn't give, there's this sort of idea that when you're high passing instruments or elements of instruments that you're going to mess with the phase and kill the low end. I got more low end by sending less bass from one of the two sources because there was no phase cancellation on that. It's a huge deal. It's a huge deal. And it's like, lot of misinformation, and that really, really helps. You can see how that really helped there. Okay, great. Oh, by the way, if you haven't already, please like and share. We're going to do another giveaway on all of these plugins. There's 94 inside of this, inside of the Total Studio 2. 94 plugins, and we're scraping the surface. Okay, so what do we want to know? This is to win the full giveaway. Please, by the way, hit that like button. That would be absolutely amazing. So, blum, 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 blum. 379 people watching. That's incredible. Thank you ever so much. Thank you, IK Multimedia, for being here. I got my 2 dislikes for talking about high passing again. I'm sorry. So with 379 people watching, can we get that to 379 likes? That would be absolutely incredible. Also, IK Multimedia are here, so if you want to ask any questions of them live, please do. I'm throwing them under the bus. And once again, this is where I'm referencing, and these are the plugins I'm looking to use. So if you have ideas of stuff that you want me to do, just let me know. Thank you. Liked and shared. That's amazing. Please hit that like button. So what do we want to know? We want to know, and this is to win the Total Studio 2 package, 94 plugins. We found out some of the classic stuff. Okay. I mean, see, there's things I want to know. I want to know, I know I've asked this a lot, but I think this is important with our audience. What DAW do you use? And if you don't use a DAW, well, how are you recording? I'm assuming you do, or you wouldn't be watching the live stream mixing, but maybe you're about to move into using DAWs. But what is the DAW you love to use? Thank you, Reed, for liking. So what DAW do you use? Let's find out about our community. Cliff says you're sending the boys over for anybody who disliked. It's okay. Okay, so what do you use? There's 384 people online now to win this. Let us know, what DAW do you use? And if you haven't moved into DAWs yet, you can say, I will record on tape or whatever it is. There's no right or wrong answer. The right answer is just being honest and letting us know what you use, sharing that information amongst the community. Rachel from IK uses Ableton. Great stuff, Rachel. It's absolutely fantastic. All right, so we're going to bust this together now. I'm copying these plugins down onto this other bass sound. I'm going to use exactly the same EQ points on the DI and the bass amp. Let's have a listen. Now, I did use another EQ on the bass amp that was identical. So let's pull that down. So now the bass amp's going to be identical on both of those areas. But I had some saturation on it from before. So I'm going to go and see if I can find... Okay. Where is it? Give me a second. Saturator X. Let's try that on the bass amp. And this is on the chorus bass amp. Oh, this is nice. I've not used this yet. This is new for me as it is for you. Wow, this is pretty awesome. So here's the drive, the amount of. We've got two different tape sounds. I'm going to go through everything. Have a listen. I think I like tape 2. Master Plus 12 was really fat. Go back to tape 2. Class A. That kept a lot of the characteristics. I think the reason why I like tape 2, well, first of all, the extra low end that it's getting out of Master Plus 12 is phenomenal. However, it's for already EQ'd. Remember, I'm taking the low end out before it, so I don't need that additional. If you only had one bass source, maybe that would work. You know, but that's, I think I'm just going to, let's blend that back in. Now, I do think we need to put, let's have a look. God bless the interweb. This is where I think the white channel is going to come in useful for us. So let's go and find the white channel here. Where, oh, where is it? There it is, right in front of me. Wow, this is pretty nifty. Okay, why am I using the white channel? Well, cool. That was quick and easy to use. Very quick and easy to use. So let's put the whole thing together. Now what we've got to do is we've got to come up with a way of blending these two different bass sounds together so they work. Now, you'll notice that there's an extra, bit of grit, and there's extra volume on this bass sound. So I'm actually going to just go in and trim these down a little bit. So let's just bring these down. We don't need all that automation there. Bring this down just a schnizzle. Cool. Now I'm actually going to use that white channel on the bass sub. And I'm going to take a bar or two of where I'm playing with my fingers, and then a bar or two playing with the pick. Too much metal. Now, for one thing, I think I don't need as much of that grit on the bass as I thought. So I'm going to bring that grit down quite considerably. Now, we're keeping this pretty natural so far. We're mixing this in a very, very naturalistic way. So I think generally liking the bass sound. It's not absolutely massive on the low end yet, but I'm going to move on a little bit before we get too crazy on it. I've done some boost here. It looks like about 3.5 dB. And we went to about 120. We could go maybe a little bit lower. But that's something we pulled out on those kick drums a little bit anyway. And remember, when it's boosting 120, it's also picking up, 60, 70, 80, 90, 100 on one side. It's fairly wide. It's not like just pinpointing. We're not talking about, using one of those really, really precise little tiny EQs. We're giving it some bloom in the bottom. I've heard that word quite a lot, bloom. Okay, 376 people watching. Can you hit the like button? We're going to do another giveaway in not for about 10 minutes. At 12, we're going to do a giveaway. We're going to give away the Total Studio 2 package from IK Multimedia, which has 94 plugins. Not only are we going to do that, but we're also going to give you a year's membership to the Academy. Okay, let's move on into the wonderful world of guitars. What do we have going on in this chorus here? All I had was some generic EQ. I'm going to take off. I'm going to listen to it without that one. was enjoying listening to that. I'm actually pretty happy with the recording we did on that. On a previous one, you'll notice we used amplitude a lot on some of these DIs. And if you download the other multi-tracks, which I'm sure Matt can fly around here, you can get those multi-tracks to mess around and use amplitude on and really have some fun. What I found is like one of my ideal things that I love doing is being able to mix DIs with amp tones. One of the fun things you can do with the DI then is then also treat it in a totally different way. Like DI it, EQ it, use a different virtual instrument on it, little virtual amplifier on it, like use amplitude, and then put a ton of different effects on it. And there's a separation between the original amp sound and the DI. You can have a lot of fun. So for me, this is probably something that the white channel, again, would be really, really tasty on because it's going to do a multitude of things. And I think for the guitar sound here, I've decided, as I have done before with David's stuff and with my guitar parts like this, to keep them sort of glued together as opposed to like going in there and manipulating each one. Why am I doing that? Well, because I recorded these parts to work with each other. I had a part, then I had a harmony to it, and then I built them around each other. I shaped the guitar sounds to work together. There was production done to this. And I think this is, one thing that we talk a lot about in the Academy in particular, is like making sure that you commit to a sound so you can create another great sound afterwards. So let's grab the white channel and have a listen. Firstly, I really like what the compressor's doing there. I don't know what this is modeled on in particular, but it definitely has given me a little bit of that that I love in a more SSL word. It seems to be catching some of those high mids and giving them a little extra, like, I don't know, a little extra spank. What's interesting is when I've mixed these guitars the other day, we ended up using a de-esser on them because the high end, we couldn't control it. This compressor here, if I'm going to recommend it, this could be a really, really good guitar stereo guitar bus compressor. It seems to be just taking those high mids and just tucking them in a little bit, which is another thing I like actually for the Dyna-Mu to do. And I know there's an emulation on that, so we could open that and check that out as well. There's a Dyna-Mu. Let's do that. Let's do a comparison of it itself. So I'm going to mute this. You heard what it was doing. We'll have a listen again. Cool. So you can hear what it's doing. If you want to hear it quickly in bypass, have a listen to this. Can you hear what I'm hearing? I hear like dun dun blang 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 blang. I'm hearing like, it's not even an unevenness of playing. It's just like the speakers, the amplifier, maybe it's the articulation, it's the string, whatever it is like high notes are like kind of jumping out. And it's not like there's no compression on it. When I was recording this, I was using a BAE 312 going through a Spectrasonics compressor, the 610, both of which are fantastic ways of recording guitars. And of course, it had a 57 on it. So it was like all of the typical things. But it's never going to be absolutely perfect. But quickly listen again, see how this controls the high mids. Hey, I'm going to make those as big as I can. And for those of you who are watching on your phone and stuff, I understand. So look at that. Woo! Yeah, baby. How big is that? All right. So see the amount of compression that's going on here. It's not that much. It's between 1 to 3 dB. But here, what is going on with those high mids? Hopefully it translates. I'm listening to it with the bass and the drums. So here is bypass. Here. What's happening is it feels like sometimes the high mids jump out and sometimes the guitar part's lost. Now listen with that 1 to 3 dBs worth of compression coming from over here. It's nice. That's why I actually like my SSL. My SSL does that same thing. It allows me to like hit just the compression, and there's something, even though it's not a dynamic EQ or a multi-band compressor or blah, 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 or anything like that, it's not specifically going for that. It just seems to fold in the high mids. There's something about the characteristic of this one that reminds me of that. Whether it really is that or not, who the heck knows? I'm really impressed. Okay, but what we are going to do is we're going to compare it against the Dyna-Mu, because the Dyna-Mu is an emulation of an old favorite of mine for guitars. So it's another variation. And hold on, by the way, we are going to get to the last giveaway. We're going to do one more of the Total Studio 2 package, which is 94 plugins, and we're going to give away a year's membership to the Academy. And if you're already an Academy member, which I see there's a lot of Academy members, of course, we'll make sure. Dave Kersner's just texted me. Hey, Dave, we're still online. If you've already got a year's membership, we'll extend it, or you can get a free course. You tell me, whatever you would like. Okay, so let's go and find the Dyna-Mu. There it is. I'm hovering already over it. Now, I'm not going to touch anything. I'm just going to press play and see how it defaults. There's something about the 1176, the 76 plugin, IK76, which just works straight away. So let's do this. Magically press. Whoops, sorry. Look, I've just got to let you know, that is what a Dyna-Mu does, or in this instance, the Dyna-Mu. That's why it's so popular in studios. Mastering engineers do. Look at the amount of gain reduction going on, but listen to what it's doing to the high mids of the guitars, the way it tucks it in, seems to just glue those guitars together. Now bypassed. And again with it on. Now I'm going to gain match this a little bit more, because obviously there's a little bit more output here. So let's just bring it down, because I don't want you to be fooled by the volume change. So have a listen to this. I mean, the difference is there. The difference is there. It's bringing up seemingly like some of those mid-ranges, the lower mid-ranges, the pure mid-ranges, like the 1K-ish area, and just tucking that 3 to 5K area where it gets a little bright and the guitar's poking its head out a little bit here and there, and just gluing them together. That's what the hardware version of this does, and that's what this software version's doing. Pretty remarkable. And It's tough because I do love the hardware version of this. I am a big fan of it. So, but and thanks for letting us know about making the plugin bigger, because I know a lot of you are looking on phones like this, and this is how you're seeing it. So definitely glad to be able to help. And even in this view, yeah, it's much better. So, okay, this is our last giveaway. We talked about what hardware you liked. And remember, in this giveaway, you're also going to get a year's membership to the Academy. And the Total Studio 2, you're going to get 94 plugins. Pretty amazing. Pretty darn amazing. Firstly, would you please hit that like button? There's 370 odd people here, 379 people watching. That's unfreaking believable. Thank you ever so much. And once more, I just want to show you the page I'm looking at where I'm choosing stuff from is this one. And what have we not talked about? What have we not talked about? Yeah, exactly. That's why Paul says the Dyna-Mu is so beloved. It's just like, this is a big deal. Have you noticed how much the mixes come together here? And we're doing like, yeah, that's quite, Sean's asking a question here. That's a good question. I'm going to use your question. Thank you, Sean. So you see what we're doing here? We're doing very small movements, but we're applying the acquired knowledge that I've got. I've been doing this a long time, you know, even though I'm only 19. Yeah, whatever. But my point is, I've been doing this a long time. And if you look around my studio, you'll see 4 Pultecs over there. I know they're hide behind there. There's a couple of Pultecs over here. There's some Ampex and Crown stuff. There's APIs. There's an SSL. There's Neves. There's more APIs. APIs and APIs. CADC console. Everything, you know, you can, every single compressor, EQ, and whatever you can mix, you can think of. And now we're mixing this entirely in the box, and we're taking that acquired knowledge like we just did with the Dyna-Mu and going, okay, this is the hardware that I reach for that does the job. Quite often, this is the sort of dichotomy. This is the reality of why there's always this sort of in-between where we love, don't look a day over 18. Thank you, David. This is why we love modern technology, and I love modern technology that you can do anything, and that there's so many plugins like the T-Rex stuff where you get like the T-Rex mastering version and it has like 57 different things it does. It's got the clipper and the limiter and the EQ and the compressor, and it's freaking amazing. It has everything in one plugin. But what I do particularly love is being able to move between both worlds, having the acquired knowledge to go, what would be the best thing to make this guitar sound good? Well, if I had a Dyna-Mu, what do? I reach for the Dyna-Mu, and it made that guitar sound work. And what I could have done is struggled for hours trying to EQ the high mids. Or I can just reach for that, and it did it for me. This is where acquired knowledge comes in. This is why a lot of this kind of stuff, there's a lot of things that we don't always have to work at hard. We don't always have to work as hard as you think. Sometimes it is just about having the right tools and knowing your tools. So please hit that like button. 379 people watching. Great. Hit that like button. Please share this. That would be absolutely amazing. And this is the last giveaway. So with the like button and the share, I would want to know, and Sean asked the question, is there anybody here still working hybrid? Is there anybody here still using a console? So the question is, yes, I use, and then let us know what kind of console you have. And if it's a digital console as well. And what about even like a screen? Some kind of console could be an Avid console or an old DigiDesign console. It could be a CADC, an SSL, an API, a Neve. Are you still using a real console? If so, what is it? And if you aren't, just say in the box, all in the box. And just want to know. Yeah, says Renato is saying it's just moving between those worlds. So in the box, totally in the box. And if you're using summing, what summing are you using? Don't use all in the box, not me. No, don't have a console. All in the box. Tracking jumps use Neat Pre's and SSL monitoring. Nice. Summing. What summing do you use? If you're using summing, what do you use? Never on a console, some outboard. An AMEC I saw there. SSL XL decks. Nice. Hardware, retro stay level. It's got the UK sound, 1173. Good on you. Just in the box summing. Alan Heath, nice. All in the box. No summing. Console, NLS and a Harrison. API, SSL. D-Box, summing. Cough, cough, I saw that. API, tube preamp. In the box. Mackie. Don't have the money for equipment. Sorry to hear that. But keep doing what you're doing. Occasionally use HomeMide DIY summing. What summing are you using for those people that said summing? In the box. Paul John, you have a Helios? Really? You have a Helios? Oh, dangerous. All in the box. 1073 on a stereo bus. Tascam DM4800. Alesis. Summing Texas Instruments solar calculator. See if Matt has a... Oh, Tax Scorpion. Yes. Tax Scorpion in the house. I had one of those for years. In the box. NLS summing. In the box. In a blue box. Alan Heath. Waldbeck. Trident. Nice. In a box. Digital console. Algorithmics. I haven't tried those plugins out yet, Max. Once I do, I can let you know. I hate having opinions on things I don't know, and I know that's not like forums, where people have opinions on everything. Gabor Varga 1, and he says he uses an Icon Q Pro. Oh, wow. Look at that. So thanks, everybody. If you haven't already, please hit that like button. This has been absolutely amazing. Thank you, IK. So I got to use a few plugins here that I haven't tried before, and that Dyna-Mu is dynamite. The white channel is amazing. The 76 is arguably one of the best 76 emulations I've ever heard. Might you elaborate out on Very-Mu versus others? There's just something about Very-Mu's that lots of people love, either on mixed buses, but particularly love on guitar buses. The reason why we love it is it just seems to control the high mids. So when you've got really aggressive sounding like rock guitars or aggressive sounding guitars and you want to tame that edge and just make it more sparkly and less kind of mid-rangey and pokey and it painful on your ears, the Very-Mu is something pretty much every mixer I've ever met has reached for. It's just absolutely wonderful. So thank you, IK, for the amazing giveaway. Don't forget to tune back on Tuesday. We're going to do part 2 of this. We had so many things to go through. There's no way we would have got through everything. And the enormous amount of virtual instruments that comes with this total Studio 2 package is so massive, there's no way we could have done it today. So just doing the plugins was enough. Crazy, but we did manage to mix some guitars, some bass, and some drums. And we saw how using the right tool, used minimally, can really, really help your mix. I mean, let's have a quick listen before we go, even though I'm not on that screen anymore. But here's a quick listen. This is where we ended up doing minimal amounts of EQ and compression. Here I am. Pretty amazing place to end up on with not that many plugins used and abused, just the right kind of choices, taking some acquired knowledge and going what to use. Don't forget, if you haven't already, please hit that subscribe button. Please hit that subscribe button. That would be absolutely amazing. Please subscribe to the channel. We do at least 1, sometimes 2 live streams a week, and we do giveaways all the time. It's really generous of IK Multimedia for doing this. Thank you, IK Multimedia. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in. Please hit the subscribe button. Don't forget to hit the like button on the way out. Thank you all of you. You've been absolutely amazing, and we'll see you again very, very soon. have a marvelous time recording and